G'day guys, it's Jake here. Nothing in this video is financial advice. Please be sure to check out my links below, including exchanges I use and social media content that I post. All right, let's go. It's been a while since I made the last video. I think it was around April, early in that month when the tariff saga was going on and when Trump announced it. And yeah, the markets went into turmoil. The stock market, the S&P crashed about 20%. Bitcoin fell a bit more, around 30%. From its all-time high when Trump got inaugurated in January 20. And yeah, a lot of and Ethereum went to hell, went to home, basically back into its logarithmic regression bands. Very, very low prices for Ethereum, at 1,300 or so, and then it shot back up again. So yeah, a lot of absolute turmoil since then. But what happened at that stage? Now I think markets have well and truly recovered since then. And whether we see more, shocks in the economy or unexpected surprises, especially coming from the tariff side of things, we have to be aware of those things going forward when investing. So, good to be back. We'll start with my Twitter. Not a big channel, as you can see, only 120 followers. I don't post a lot, but we appreciate if you can give me a follow, and I can keep making content over there, sharing what I see, helping out followers in this investing journey. So whether it's still with Bitcoin, warning of 2008 all over again, or basically wishing upon the stars that I get to this sort of milestone. We'll see how it happens, and I will share the journey with you. So whether it's constant, it's videos, I might make them weekly. We'll see how I go. It's not determined and put in stone and scheduled away. We'll see what happens. It's how I feel about putting a video out, and whether it's valuable or not. And urgent as well. So, some charts I share on here. Different altcoins. I do share them every now and again when I see something that's interesting, like this pattern here from Bobo or Benny coin. And, going back to March when the risk metric was entering the green levels, I do give updates to when that happens as well, which is very, very important to know when to get into the markets. And just some other stuff too, some funny stuff like this. Get the idea, what I mean? Sharing videos I like on YouTube and other creators as well on the space. So, give us a follow. Next, we'll talk about the trading economics calendar coming up for the important news and all things, US economy, with Japan in there too. So next week we've got the job openings and the GDP growth rates estimates, seeing what the forecasts are and what was previously. And the big almighty Fed interest rate decision. Now, this is big. Whether they keep rates at 4.5 or they lower them, like Trump's trying to get him to do. Before Jerome Powell's under the pressure, everyone's hounding him. There's no reason to cut rates. The economy's doing quite fine. And same as BOJ, whether they keep rates at 0.5%. Have to wait and see there. And the big sort of news really comes down to at the end of the week, is non-farm payrolls and the unemployment rate. So they're going to be big, big things to look out for. Okay, so we're seeing previously it was 4.1, and consensus forecasts are predicting an increase in the unemployment rate back to 4.2%. And so non-farm payrolls 147, but they're seeing through estimates that there can be a slowdown in that non-farm payrolls. So could be some interesting price action around that time. So that's end of next week coming up. And then after that, the week after, I should say it's 2 weeks from then, not the week after, 2 weeks from then, you got the inflation numbers, coming out for America. All right, so go into the CME Fed Watch tool to see what the probabilities are for the Fed rate cuts, interest rate decisions, and keeping it the same is 95.9, so 96% chance and a 4% chance of it actually going down 25 basis points. Okay, so 0.25% cut versus keeping rates the same. And so it looks pretty probable that nothing will be unchanged there. Interest rates. Now we got this. And we got the crypto greed and fear index. Okay, so I haven't checked this one out in a while, and we are at greedy territory right now, which makes sense since basically early April when we had that scare, the tariff stuff happened, and it went as low as 10 in February, but actually didn't go lower than that, even though price went lower. Quite interestingly, we got to 18 by 9th of April, and we've been sort of hovering up and down between 40s and the 70s. Okay, so now we're sort of very coiled up here in the 70 part and trading sideways, nothing really interesting. But definitely for investment purposes, getting in the market, it's a little bit frothy, a bit like October 2024, it was in the 70s. It did go higher, of course. It's the 90s. When it gets to the 90s, though, you'll be very, very careful because it only stays there very briefly and then comes back down. Okay, so I can show you on a max chart. So we sort of in 2024, so you got to 90, and then bam, back down. Yeah, so back in October, November, I got to the 90s. Okay, I can't really cover it very well. It doesn't stay there very long, and you go back in historically up here in 2021. It wasn't there very long. Bam, straight down. But it was there for a bit of time actually in late 2020 to early 2021, which is a very, very different time and very, very unusual. It's very high, but you had interest rates very, very low, near zero. Quantitative easing was happening for the Fed. It made sense that risk-on appetite was just so strong, And up here, 2019 mid-cycle peak, we got to 90, 95 or so, and didn't stay there very long and went down. So yeah, just watch out for that. Any high risk levels, be careful. But at the moment, 70s is pretty. It's not too bad. It's stay up here for quite a long time, from like October to January. So it was there for a good, that's about 3 months or so, So you got to look, you got to take it with a grain of salt, So yeah, it's either up here for a very, standard period of time, or it drops a lot. But in the 70s, it's usually pretty good, given that there are drops, occasionally. It's very, very whipsawy, depending on the sentiment. And basically, it's made up of different things like volatility, market momentum, social media makes up a portion of it. Surveys is not working at the moment. Dominance, so Bitcoin dominance is a 10% portion of this, and trends. Google Trends data is factored in as well. So you get a bit of everything, and it's an all-in-one indicator, which is very, very good for seeking out what the sentiment is in the market. So now we're on to Bitcoin Google Trends, and despite the price action we've seen, it's been going absolutely bananas. Bitcoin, the sentiment and trends is very low. So we go all the way down here, and it's basically back to June and heading towards the October sort of very low points here. So it's heading down that way before they obviously shoot up and a massive rise when the election was over in America. But yeah, looking at this, the interest is not there for retail to come back just quite yet. You see these parabolic phases, like in the last bull run where we got to 86, and then they got to 100 in May of 2021. So going in that period there. So really, we know any of that. We're sort of at 20 at the moment. So very, very low on the risk. The popularity. You go 2004 to present. I'm going to show you even better so where we are. Obviously, the highs are getting not quite as big for some reason, but the important thing is you see the lows are getting higher and higher and higher. The lows are going up, but the highs are going down for some reason. It's 100 back in 2017, and it was 70 odd in 2021, and it got as high as 44 in November of 2024. So you can see it there, and we are sort of low still, comparable to these lows here in, sort of mid 2023 to sort of Q3 of 2024, and we're in that sort of Q3 time frame at the moment. And yeah, very, very low. We've got altcoins, and they're actually quite high. All right, so this is past 5 years, and you can see at the end of 2024 was actually going absolutely bananas and parabolic, and it reached 100, and that's obviously had to cool off. So it couldn't sustainably go above 100. That was at the max, and now we're sort of down here in April with the tariff stuff, and now we've shot back up again. Okay, so hovering around 70, and it's projected, this dotted line projected that we come down and have a cool off period, because we are shooting up quite aggressively and sharp compared to Bitcoin, which is quite low. So altcoins get more attention at the moment. Okay, and yeah, it makes sense if I want to show the dominance charts. Yeah, what's going on? Dominance, Bitcoin dominance, and the altcoins versus Bitcoin. So we'll go into the charts right now. So we're onto the charts here, and we'll start with Bitcoin. Been a long time since I've analysed this on my YouTube video, but yeah, it's since my last video I made was around here. Okay, it was bottoming out just before it bottomed out. I was making the video, and we're locked down in the 70s sort of thing, and since then we're in the 118k range, and we've all-time highs were 123,000. So yeah, don't know, definitely big increase since then. If you want to go from the bottom of the candle to the top, it's about a 60% increase, okay, in appreciation of Bitcoin. So it's done quite well since then, and charged on upwards as expected. You can see the risk metric here. It was in the green right here when I posted my Instagram. On Instagram, my Twitter, March 10th, entered the green there, and it's supposed to be staying in the green until it exited out in April and late April sort of thing, and shut up after that. Now it's sort of sitting at a risk level of 69, so quite high, okay. And what sort of concerns me at the moment from risk was quite high here. It was around late 70s sort of thing, and it's actually, if you draw that arrow there, it's gone lower. So it's lower higher than that one. Okay, so that's lower than that. That's lower than that, sorry. That's divergence. And another interesting thing, if you go back even further, okay, so this high here was around 80. Okay, so going from that to that to that, if you draw a line through it, it's actually, there's lower peaks, okay? Whereas this is higher peaks, higher highs, and that's lower highs, okay? So it's divergence is playing out real time. Whether we get a cool off period is, doesn't have to happen, but this sort of gives you an understanding of why things get a little bit overheated and need to cool off a little bit before the inevitable when it goes up to here. So what I'll do is I'll change it so it's sort of easy to see. Yeah, so go to 90. That's how I'll set it up. And historically, what I'll show you now to get you an idea of when the sort of cycles peak and it's all over, basically all over, except for 2021, it was quite different. So see how the risk metric went over the red line there, the 90 level. That was well and truly up there around the top period before I had a correction. Went back to green. Then it went back up and made a lower high. So it was divergence. Okay, so it was lower than that one. And then went down. So that was the sort of the peak there. We also had a peak here at the end of the cycle, right here. Okay, so we went overbought, sorry. And went overbought the reds, and that was the top. Okay, so that's that 2017 cycle, and the 2013 one happened again. Okay, so went to red, and that was it for Bitcoin. Boom, bear market. And then we got sort of a little peak here too, back in 2013, earlier that year, and I had a correction. So yeah, cool off period. So that's those things. When it comes to peaks, okay, very important to look out for. We're not sort of at that 90 level yet, so we've still got some time in the cycle, which is a good thing. But we can still see some consolidation, whether we just hover around sort of 60 level or go back to green again. That's sort of what I'm looking for, is get back to the green, okay? And the Fed to pivot, okay, to quantitative easing or end at quantitative tightening. All right, so to get into altcoins specifically is what I want to do, because there's definitely more upside in them. I think these bull runs happen. you want to sort of look out for the Fed balance sheet. Okay, so we put this balance sheet. This is going down, and when the Fed start buying assets again, it'll go up. If they stop purchasing and just keep it neutral, where it sort of is, then it'll flatten out. Okay, so either a flattening out or increase is what you want to look out for the balance sheet. All right, so if I go logarithmic to give you an idea of sort of how it charts here, it's not giving you an idea when Bitcoin tops and goes down, because look, the balance sheet can go down, yeah, like so, and then Bitcoin could still go up, you know. So it's not about predicting where price is going to go. It's about predicting risk appetite, and which is basically, it's not a Bitcoin USD chart that's important. It's the alts versus Bitcoin chart. Okay, I'll give you an idea when they bottom. So if I switch over to those chart, we'll go to Bitcoin dominance right now to show you what's going on there. So Bitcoin dominance is Bitcoin's outperformance against the whole crypto market. And I can see I've already marked these levels, okay, these vertical dotted levels when there's QE and QT. Okay, so the balance sheet, it's all QE, okay. So it's increased, the orange, and it went flat. So technically it was QE, it didn't go anywhere. And even the flat balance sheet did nothing. What happened to dominance? It dropped, okay. Did this, yeah. It just plummeted. And then to the point where the balance sheet just fell off a cliff. Okay, so it went down. And you can see there, obviously the orange. What happened to Bitcoin dominance? It bottomed here, right here, and went up. See that there? Quite obvious. So it goes up, it goes down. Now it bottomed here precisely when it topped. See that? Right when it topped. Bitcoin dominance went down, okay. While this balance sheet went, what did it do? It went up, okay. And then it continued to climb, okay, up to here, okay. And what happened to dominance? It did come up a little bit more, okay. It did spike up, but ultimately dropped. Yeah, it's a big cliff follow right there, and a plummeting of this chart to give the gains back to the altcoins and to take over this end of the bull run leg there. And then Bitcoin really dominance went sideways for a bit. It did top here, and when it started going down, which is what's been going on since basically March, April 2022 to now. And what's happened to dominance? It's going up, guys. It's going up, not down. Bitcoin's been leading the market the whole way, and it hasn't been an alt season because of this balance sheet, yeah? So that's the sort of correlation we're looking at, and that's sort of why we haven't seen an alt season just yet. Quite simply, you know, you either want an increase like this, okay, and then either that or, which basically, you know, dominance comes down, you can see there, or a sideways balance sheet, which, look, it doesn't do much, but it does sort of drop, and then even after this big drop, the balance sheet was going sideways. So you either want sideways, QT, ending, or QE, which is even more crazy, okay? So either or. At the moment, sit tight and wait for the Fed to see what they say at the interest rate decision, which will include what they do with their balance sheet. So that's coming out on Wednesday, all right, Australia time, at night. So we need to wait for these things to occur for the Almighty alt season to continue. Because look, another interesting thing that sort of, you know, discovering through watching Ben Cohen's channel, he's an absolute legend. If you don't know who he is, into Cryptoverse, go and give him a follow. When we get to these sort of, this is a fib retracement level from the top, right, from 2021 or 2020 December to the bottom, right, when it wicked right down here in September, the fib retracement levels. Okay, so you can see we get a fib level here, reject. All right, we break above it. After the first try, we consolidate. We retest. As we retest, we come up to the next fib level, 0.5. We reject, struggle, and then break through. 0.618. Reject, retest. Okay, you get the idea. And second, we break through. We get to the next fib level, 786. We reject, and we come back down. What's the next move do you think is going to happen? We can either go a little bit lower, okay, and trick people out. But ultimately, either we top out here again at this 66% level for Bitcoin, or get rid of these drawings again, a bit messy. We go back to the fib level drawing and go back to there again, and here again. Sorry about this. And okay, that was better. And basically we break through the 786 and head up to these levels, right, which is basically where it topped out last cycle. So either come up to here, even in 2017, okay, there's a peak here, 2019 and 2021. Could overshoot and really just go past that level and head up to 74%, or I'm sort of seeing it go to 70%, yeah, as a conservative target to get back to these highs, all right? These highs is what I'm looking at. 1, 2, 3 is very conservative, and I'll show you why right now. So this is the alt versus Bitcoin chart, which is basically that Bitcoin dominance chart I just showed you, flipped on its head. All right, so turned around opposite way. And for a conservative estimate, where I see these things going, because they're really pretty much an oscillator that go from basically this price level of 0.25, as you can see there, 0.25 to 1. Okay, so altcoins collectively, excluding ETH, Bitcoin against Bitcoin, and also USDT, a stablecoin, is not included in this calculation too. So we get up to here, we top out, do it again. Okay, 2021, 2017, come back. That was the first bottom there in October 2017. Came back in October of 2019. Came back again, 2020. And we just well overshooted it here in early 2021. And we're up to the range highs, okay? The range lows and range highs. Before we get to the range highs, I do want to see this go to the range lows. All right, so in this box. Get to this box. And then head back up to here. If you don't do this, I mean, it'll probably be quicker than that. We'll see how this cycle plays out, but something like this where it just goes down, goes all the way up here, 0.52, all the way down here, within basically August to October, basically a couple of months, and bam, a couple of months later at the top. So 2 months down, 2 months up. Yeah, it won't take this long. This is a crappy rough drawing. So I just wait until end of 2026 for it to happen. But you sort of want it to happen very shortly. Okay, get it over and done with the band-aid off, and drop down here very quickly, and then go up here very quickly. Okay, either by mid 2026 or earlier. Somewhere around there is what I'm predicting it to top out. Even though we peaked here at the start of the bear market that year, 2018, and we went back up again till April. So it did take till really May to June until we really fell off a cliff. Okay, so it did take some time for Total 3 minus USDT divided by Bitcoin to head back to the range lows. Here it took to January and went down. Okay, here it took a bit longer. So this could take a little bit longer. Okay, like 2017 cycle into mid of the bear year 2026. So I'm sort of seeing it around June-ish time period. We'll see what happens. May to June, and then we start going down again. Okay. So yeah, you've got to really look for this to bottom first, for this to go up to top. If you start going up, I don't think it's got the momentum to go up to here, because anything's possible. It could do that, but it's historically looks so obvious that this is an oscillator against Bitcoin over time at best, and not an outperformer. Okay, so Bitcoin's going to take the gains from cycle to cycle when it goes down. Okay, and alts will regain it in the bull year. Okay, so 2021, so when at bull year there, it outperformed Bitcoin. All right, same as 2017, outperformed, and now we'll get the same thing. All right, so it's going to happen for sure. Just when the Fed pivot their balance sheet, that's very, very crucial. Without that, we can't get an alt season. All right. What else we look at? Because you've got ETH. ETH, in my opinion, has bottomed against Bitcoin. Okay, this is the market cap of ETH, and we're back into this range low. See that? So nice and clearly, 2020, basically 2019 to 2020, 2017 thing, it'll spike into that. and into it again. Okay, that was around that April tariff scare thing. All right, and we've bottomed. I think we're bottomed anyway. I think we're going any lower than that. It's quite obvious. If you do go lower, then it's a bleeder, it's a relic, and it's going to zero against Bitcoin over time. If ETH's going to stand a chance and be around for the future, the payment systems and the DeFi and all the infrastructure that's going to be built on ETH, it's got to stay around and do well against Bitcoin. And it comes to price, market cap. Okay, so yes, we've seen a big surge up since then. Will we just go up to here and be over? I don't think so. I think we need another cool off, high or low, maybe, and then go up to here. The reason I say that is because I just showed you before, the total 3 chart against Bitcoin has not bottomed. So once this bottoms, when it loads, so for a slow internet, this has to bottom first, okay? So this low, I want to see a lower low, okay, before going higher. And then if you go to ETH against Bitcoin, you want to see a higher low, okay? So it's more higher market cap and it's outperform and go higher. Another interesting thing too that people aren't really talking about, it's quite interesting too, what's going on at the moment. Yes, ETH and altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin at the moment, but altcoins against Ethereum, okay? So it's basically the second biggest behemoth, and what altcoins are doing against it. Take away the logarithmic chart, and you can see we've hit the range highs, okay, up here, around 3.3-ish, okay, as we did back in November 2018 and March 2019, also early 2018, okay, topped out against ETH, all these altcoins. We're seeing it decline again, okay, so we did see huge surge June last year all the way up to April this year. So we thought that was it. ETH is going to die off and altcoins are going to take its market share. Well, that's not happening now. It's giving it back. Okay, you can see it's dropped a fair bit, a fair bit since April, late April, 42%. All right, so not happening. It's an oscillator, okay? They're oscillators against ETH and Bitcoin. So what I want to see for this chart as well, before we see any interesting things emerge out of the altcoin market, is see this going back down here. Quite obvious, so bottoms here, so mid-2024, mid-2023, early 2021, and October 2017. So similar to what Bitcoin did, with its dominance, so basically ETH dominance against altcoins. All right, and you see this bottom out, then we see it go higher, like that. Whenever that happens, roughly, I'm seeing a time frame somewhere around May, June. Could do something like this. I reckon it's going to play out. It's my personal. No, I don't know when it's going to bottom. Could be late this year, and then it's going to explode into next year. And that'll be it. And what happens after that? Hits the top, back down again. All right, so yeah, and it's a process too. It takes time to play out. So that's an interesting chart there. And we'll get Ethereum, USD. But really, it's about ETH, Bitcoin. It's more important to really get your head around. Look at logarithmic chart now. Everyone only cares about the USD valuation. It's disappointing, but that's just how it is. Everyone wants to know how much money they're making, and the highs are here, and we're getting close to the highs. Quite simple, right? Will we break them right now and go high up, and then just retest it and just go boom up to the moon? We'll see. Could happen. Not possible. You can see 1, 2, 3. You can see it rejects. Okay, again. This is resistance level. This resistance level here can reject. All right, and then get a good cool off period. We can either come back down to the 2100 mark or up to these highs, the 2500 or so, and then we try a fourth time. It's very, very, very likely and certain it will break through. Okay, and go higher into 2026. So I don't know exactly the occurrence of this pullback, but very, very shortly, I think, going into the end of this year, Q4, and then going into Q1 of next year that we see massive rise out of it. All right, so depending on the economy, how it holds up after the tariff stuff kicks in, it's going to be crucial. And what the Fed does, as I mentioned before, what happens to the altcoin market against Bitcoin, and especially these big alts and the smaller alts, because you've got the smaller alts here. If I show the smaller alts versus the bigger alts, so this is small alts outside top 10 versus the top 10 alts. And you can see we are getting close to the bottom. All right, not quite there yet. But for the really low market caps to do well and get 100Xs and 50, 100Xs, what do you want to call them, 1000X if you're lucky. You want to get those really huge gains. I reckon we still need to go a bit lower. Okay, so December there, early 2020, so mid to late 2019. I still want to see it go down here. All right, come down here and then outperform. All right, that's what I want to see happen, and then we can buy out Pharaoh coins down here. That's the best time to buy, in my opinion. And yeah, and you'll get definitely a big reward out of it once you see it all give in to Bitcoin, to the bigger alts, grab the market share. The bigger alts need to bleed to Bitcoin and ETH first. So the total 3 minus others is top 10. Yeah, but you want them to bleed to Bitcoin and ETH and bottom out completely. Right. So it's basically these two charts here. All alts against Bitcoin and ETH, against Bitcoin firstly to bottom out, and against Ethereum to bottom out. Right, once these things occur, everything should line up perfectly, and we should get something like these two charts. We got the Bitcoin dominance, USDT dominance, USDC dominance. So you got two stable coins and Bitcoin coming up back up to 74% level. Okay, to reach here, same as these levels. Okay, to grab that market share, and then same as with Bitcoin dominance plus ETH dominance, which is the two big behemoths, to get back to 85%. I did back in 2017 and 2020 December. I want to see this happen. All right, big explosive move, and that'll be absolutely amazing investment entry. And then we see it fall off a cliff, head back to the range lows. I did all the way back to 2021, 2022, and 2018 period, 2017. So that's what you want to see. Okay, roughly by, I reckon, around mid 2026. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at for these charts to happen. So that's it. We can talk about stock market today, just crypto, and we'll wrap it up there. Okay, so thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did and you got very much value out of it, I want you to smash the like, comment your thoughts below, subscribe to stay updated. If you want to check out the links below, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.